So why is it that we often wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and can't get back to sleep? You fell asleep fine, no problem, but now you're wide awake, staring at the ceiling, a million and one things running through your brain, and then you start doing a bit of arithmetic about how many hours sleep you're going to get if you don't fall asleep straight away, and that isn't conducive to you falling back asleep again. If that sounds familiar to you, this unexplained waking up at stupid o'clock in the morning, then you're not alone, and there are some very specific reasons that this happens to us in our 40s, 50s and beyond. I'm going to dive into all of them in this video, but most importantly, give you a few solutions. So let's look at what's actually going on here. Our sleep tends to run in 90-minute-ish cycles of light sleep, deep sleep and REM sleep. And the first half of our night's sleep is kind of deep, slow wave sleep, which is very physically restorative. And then the second half of our night's sleep from around 2 a.m. is more natural, lighter sleep, but also some REM sleep where we're dreaming, but we're in and out of that. So it's that second half of sleep from 2 a.m. onwards, which is much more fragile. You're in a lighter sleep for longer periods, and therefore it doesn't take much sometimes to jolt you out of that and wake you up properly. And that means things like body temperature, blood sugar levels, or a cortisol spike because of high stress are much more likely to wake you up at 3 a.m. than they would have been at 11 p.m. because you were in a deeper sleep at that first half of your night's sleep. And there's a few things that can happen after 40 that make this waking up much more likely. Let's look at the obvious reasons. First, there's alcohol. So if you've been having a couple of drinks before bed, that gets metabolized in that second half of your night's sleep, and that will sometimes wake you up. Also, alcohol in your system tends to raise your body temperature, which again triggers a stress response, which will wake you up from that second half of your night's sleep at 2 or 3 a.m. And so people that swear that they need a drink or two to fall asleep are kidding themselves, because yes, it makes you fall asleep, but it gives you a really shitty quality sleep and much greater likelihood of you waking up in that second half of your night's sleep. Another obvious one is caffeine. Now, caffeine has a half-life of between 6 and 8 hours. So it stands to reason that if you have a coffee at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or even later after your dinner, that's going to still be in your system at around midnight, and that's going to stop you getting a good night's sleep and much more likely to wake up because you're stuck in a lighter sleep. And then another reason for waking up could just be your sleep environment. Now that means if your bedroom is too noisy, or if it's too warm or it's too cold or something like that, in that second half of your sleep from 2, 3 a.m. onwards, those things are much more likely to jolt you out of your sleep. An obvious one is if your bedroom is too warm. Like I said, with alcohol raises your body temperature. In general, if your room is too warm, that elicits a stress response that will push you out of your sleep. So those are the obvious reasons, but there's lots more possible reasons that don't get talked about as much as those. So I want to dive into a few of them just in case a few of them ring true to you and they'll suddenly ring alarm bells and you'll know, that's what I need to fix. That's what's causing me to wake up at 3 a.m. every bloody morning. The biggest overlooked cause of this is cortisol, your stress hormone. If you are walking around chronically stressed, like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, that has a direct effect on whether you can stay asleep. Now, for people with normal levels of stress, your cortisol level will start to increase to encourage you to wake up at around 4, 5, 6 a.m. But if you're walking around with chronic stress, then your cortisol level will start to increase and wake you up at around 2 or 3 a.m. Your body basically jumps the gun, and once your cortisol is elevated, it's very hard for you to get it back down in the middle of the night. And that's why 1,000 thoughts running through your head tends to happen when you do wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning. And another overlooked reason is hormonal imbalance. For women in perimenopause or menopause, that means declining progesterone and declining estrogen. Adequate progesterone levels have a kind of calming, sleepy effect on your body. And as they decline, as you go through the menopause as a woman, that obviously makes your sleep more fragile. And then you may get night sweats from your estrogen fluctuations too, which invariably will wake you up at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And for men, declining testosterone as we get older, most of it self-afflicted, I must say, from poor lifestyle habits rather than just getting older. That lower testosterone level encourages much more lighter sleep than deep sleep. And then declining testosterone tends to lead to elevated cortisol, that stress hormone, which, as I said, tends to jolt us out of our sleep much more easily early in the morning. And as you continue to wake up earlier than you really want to get up, it ends up causing a bit of a psychological loop. You go to bed almost expecting to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and therefore it happens. You almost don't allow yourself to relax fully because you think, I'm probably going to wake up at 3 a.m. Oh my God. And you start panicking. And obviously that stops you falling into a nice, deep, relaxed sleep. So let's look at a few quick wins that we can start putting in place over the next couple of days to start turning this around and stop you waking up so frequently at times that you really do not want to be awake. So cut alcohol before bedtime, cut caffeine after say 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and look at your sleep environment. Make sure that your room is not too hot or too cold or too noisy. Just that when you get into bed, your body realizes, okay, this is a calm environment. This is perfect. I'm going to fall into a nice deep sleep and stay there. That's what we mean when we talk about a sleep environment. Is your bedroom environment actually conducive to you falling asleep and staying asleep? But then there's some longer term things that we can start looking at. So stress, again, is something that we can't fix overnight. It's very much a long game, something you need to work towards over time. Just getting a couple of decent nights sleep will not solve all the stresses in your life, obviously. But over the weeks and months, if you can make real efforts to minimize the stress in your life, or even talk to someone if you think that will help, that will have a huge effect on your sleep quality over time, because you're going to stay in a deeper sleep for longer and you'll wake up much more refreshed rather than having woken up a few times in the middle of the night. The hormonal balance that we talked about, strength training 2 or 3 times a week can help with that, sending strong signals to your body. For women, I need adequate estrogen. For men, I need adequate testosterone. Your body recognizes that when you challenge it, and that can help to rebalance your hormones and help you stay in the deep sleep that you want to be in that second half of the night. And if for you these sleep problems have slipped into something closer to insomnia, you may want to look at cognitive behavioral therapy. Have a look into it, see if it's for you, talk to a professional, because that could be what you need to solve your sleep issues. And that type of thing is much better than you leaning on medication and sleeping tablets for the rest of your life. So I know these sleep problems can really make us miserable as we get older, can really affect the quality of your life and your mood and your focus and your relationships, your career, everything. Sleep fixes everything. Bad sleep can wreck everything. So it really is worth us trying to fix these things. And so I hope a lot of those reasons have rung true for you, but also that I've helped you understand what you can start doing to turn things around. Now, everything on this channel is focused on helping you thrive as you get older in your 40s, 50s and beyond. It's a fair bet if you have a snoop around the rest of the channel that I will have answered other questions for things that are bothering you in your life and are stopping you thriving as you get older. So I recommend you have a look around, but let's chat soon.